of the Constitution. I want to read this to you. The executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office. It says he shall hold his office during the term of 4 years. So there's the actual rule that, a woman couldn't be allowed. And together with the vice president, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in Congress. No senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. Now, this lays out the president's roles, responsibilities, and his powers. I urge you to go read Article 2, okay? Because any institution, an army, a corporation, a government, needs someone in charge. And right now we have the United States running like a well-oiled machine. It's running like SpaceX. The commander-in-chief makes a decision, and that decision gets carried out. Period. You get a breakdown in the chain of command, the whole thing collapses. That's the same with a Fortune 500 CEO. It's like when Elon Musk took over at Tesla. He came in with a sink, or I think it might have been a toilet, and he got rid of a bunch of people. He flushed them. And that's the same with the little guy running a business, you or me, with a couple of employees. If you can't hire, fire, promote, or demote, your enterprise is finished. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what Trump and every president for 91 years has been up against. It all comes down to something called the vesting clause. Article 2, the Constitution, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States, just one person. The only branch handed entirely to a single individual that we, the people, elect. It doesn't work that way for the Senate. It doesn't work that way for the House or the courts. Those are crowds of people. Only the presidency puts the whole branch in one set of hands. About as close to a king as our system gets. But here's the rub. For 91 years, a rotten 1935 case, Humphrey's Executor, built a wall around the agencies, shielding them from the president, even though they sit inside of his own branch. And that, folks, is what we like to call the deep state in a nutshell. Permanent Washington, the bureaucrats who can't be fired, who outlast every president, every administration, who answer to nobody. The will of the voters, what is that? Doesn't matter to them. They're untouchable, or at least they were, because the Supreme Court just tore that wall down. Bring it down, Mr. What was the Russian guy's name? Reagan said, tear it down. The case is Trump versus Slaughter, and the court ruled 6-3 that the president can remove FTC members, the Trade Commission, Humphrey's Executor, 90 years of precedent, up in smoke. Early in his second term, Trump fired 2 Democrat commissioners, Rebecca Slaughter and Alvaro Bedoya. Didn't even bother claiming clause, just said, your services are no longer needed, or what he used to say on the show, you're fired. Hit the bricks, right? Beat it. Kick the can down the road. Well, they sued him naturally because that's what they do. Slaughter won it first, and then the court reversed it. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote it up. The Constitution vests executive power in the president, so the president has to be able to remove the people wielding that power on his behalf. The FTC exercises executive power. Therefore, those commissioners answer to him. All the conservatives lined up on one side, all the liberals on the other. And here's a little wrinkle. The same day, the Cook decision came down where the court protected the Federal Reserve's independence while yanking it away from the FTC. It's interesting how that works, isn't it? But the big picture, it's enormous. Trump can now remove just about anyone exercising executive power on his behalf. And that's a huge chunk of the federal government, from the cabinet departments right down to the agency heads. This is a generational win, folks. It hands every future Republican president the tools to dismantle the deep state once and for all. And I think it all started back on Amelia Island with Andrew Jackson with all the bankers. Now, there was a clunker on voting the same day, right? I'm not here to celebrate that one. Barrett and Roberts, well, they blew it. And we'll be challenging it. But the Slaughter decision's the real story. Amy Coney Barrett just basically said election day is election week, right? She just gave them the opportunity to count votes until they don't need any more counting. But the Slaughter decision here is the real story. This is coming out from the Hill, a very liberal rag that lines lots of bird cages. Okay? Supreme Court strengthened Trump's control over independent agencies. You know they are crying alligator tears with this. Okay? That's how this works. Now, they're even melting down on Reddit. This is the neckbeard trolls sort of hangout. They are freaking out on Reddit. Supreme Court overturned 91-year-old precedent. Look at these. FTC, SEC, NLRB, CFPB, and roughly 24 other independent federal agencies at will. This is the ruling that ends the deep state if we've got the will to use it. And I think the current president, and I think maybe some of his cabinet members that have a good shot at being the next president, are going to take this. Now, Donald Trump wasted no time coming out here on Truth Social. Today's historic decision by the Supreme Court is a great increase in presidential power. This is a victory lap on Truth Social. Such a monumental ruling at such an important time, because we got all this going on in Iran. We got all of it going on in Venezuela. We got all of it going on in Cuba, Iceland. We've got all of it going on within our Congress, within our Senate. We've got it going on right here at home, ladies and gentlemen. And it's about damn time that the president can go back to doing what we elected him to do. Be the damn president. Says to show the importance of the Slaughter case, 90 years of precedent has been completely and unequivocally overruled, greatly increasing presidential power at a time when it's most needed. Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing something monumental. It goes on. I've got some other great stuff here. Trump versus Slaughter is the single most decision today and probably the most damaging for Democrats in a while, because the bureaucrats better put their hands in their back pockets and carry their butts to the unemployment office or over to MS Now, because there's a new owner rolling into CNN that plans to, well, he's a Trump supporter, so he's going to clean it up. They'll all get glasses and run over and work with Rachel Maddow. Says the Republican president can fire anyone except the Federal Reserve members at will. Well, we got a new Fed Reserve chairman right now. Totally changes the nature of the executive branch. A Republican president can be a Republican president. Democrat presidents do not need this because conservative workers in government don't become the resistance when the opposite party returns to power, and they'll gracefully leave if not warranted. But Democrats needed near immunity to build a permanent presence in the White House. And now that's gone. Now they can kick bricks. Now there's 4 remaining cases that are going to be ruled on tomorrow. Trump versus Barbara. This is the birthright citizenship. This is huge. This is a legacy defining moment for President Trump. Legacy defining. If he can win this, where there is no right for people to come here as tourists or escapees or parolees and have a baby, and then suddenly those babies have citizenship like you and I have, then this changes the game. Because we under athletes and men and women's sports, this could be huge for girls to be able to compete against other girls. You know, you don't want a 5-year-old girl competing against somebody that looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar identifying as a 5-year-old girl, because that's been the game so far. Okay? And then we've got another one here, the FEC, NRSC versus the SEC. This is essentially free speech with a campaign finance. To what extent can political parties coordinate with candidates? Important for Republicans since Democrats have a party funding problem right now. We talked about it in a previous video where George Soros and his son just plowed $103 million into the Democrat coffers. Maybe this helps. And then just a little razzmatazz, and 4 justices could announce retirement tomorrow. Sonia Sotomayor, 0.001% chance, but is the oldest liberal justice we can hope. Crazier things have happened. John Roberts, I'd love to see him retire. Despite being younger, Clarence Thomas seems like the most likely to retire. And if that happens, Donald Trump is the president for the next better part of 3 years, and he's going to get to pick those replacements. And I hope he does a little better than replacing Amy Coney Barrett. Whoever gave the advice for that, because this chick is off the reservation. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. This circus right here. Now, there's some good ones here. Alito, Thomas, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch. We thought Amy Coney Barrett. She's shown her true colors. And they're multicolored, like that flag. We've got other stuff coming out right now, and this is another huge win. This is a massive one because this allows the prosecution of someone that's been a real problem. Federal grand jury is investigating Neville Roy Singham, a businessman with, who would have guessed it, Marxist ties over possible money laundering and other financial crimes in and around the Democrat Party. Prosecutors are examining funds moved from China, wait for it, to left-wing nonprofits in the United States and abroad. And I know you would have never guessed that.
How dare you?
But that's exactly what it is. Singham bankrolled multiple pro-Hamas groups. They have been declared terrorist organizations by the Justice Department, by the President Trump. So this right here could extradite this clown back to the United States, send him to prison, take all of his money, and hopefully give it to veterans, disabled veterans. That's where the money should go. We've got something else rolling in here. This is something I never thought I would hear. This is Joe Manchin. And Joe Manchin says something here that is monumental.
Let me just tell you that 47% of the people identify themselves as independents. They have to take, and all of you on your shows talk about independence, because independence is where you win or lose elections.
But 62% of Democrats say they prefer socialism over capitalism.
62% of Democrats say they prefer socialism over capitalism. You just heard this.
If they do, then by God, there's not a Democratic Party left. That's crazy. That is crazy.
It's true.
That is absolutely insane.
It's not a Fox poll.
If you want to ask me, well, that's another reason why I'm not registered as a Democrat. I can't put up with that crazy shit. That's nuts.
I can't put up with that crazy shit. That's nuts. He says there's not a Democrat Party if that's true. Well, Joe, West Virginia, I've met Joe a couple of times. He's a straight shooter. He had enough common sense to leave the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party left him. They're out of the station. They're off the reservation. They have lost it. They are electing Democrat socialists, the same party of the guy with the little mustache in Austria and Germany. That's who they're electing. I'm not going to be surprised if the next Democrat that's elected to Congress doesn't swear in when their hand on Mein Kampf. That would be how far gone these people are. And I'm glad to see Joe Manchin recognizing it.
And I've told him that. I said, when you believe that the government should take care of you and you don't want to get up at I was asked by Elizabeth Warren, what's happened to the West Virginia Democrats? Why we lose all the union? I said, you've lost the union workers. You lost the working people of America because they believe the Democratic Party in Washington spends more time, effort, and resources on able-bodied, capable people that don't work or won't work than those that still are working, trying to make a living.
The Democrat Party platform right now is anything Trump does, they oppose. He could cure cancer in children, and the Democrats would have pro-cancer parades in Washington, D.C. They would want you to feel sorry for cancer. And that's exactly what Joe Manchin just said. They do more for people that choose not to work, not the ones that can't work, not the ones that are actually disabled, the ones that choose not to work. It's refreshing to hear this from Joe Manchin. This little clip is Justice Roberts leaving a meeting with some Republicans. Is this a little foreshadowing for what's coming tomorrow? Listen to the question in here.
I guess so.
Justice Thomas, can we ask who you're meeting with today?
What'd you say?
Can we ask who you were meeting with this afternoon?
What'd you say?
Who are you meeting with this
Oh,
afternoon?
nobody.
You weren't meeting with the speaker, you were in his
Oh,
office.
God, no.
So what are you doing up here?
Oh, just walking.
No meetings in particular?
I'm going to tell you about.
Tomorrow's going to be a big day at the court, huh? Final day of decisions?
Oh, I guess so.
The Democrats are already worried, baby. They are already worried because of the decision that could be coming out tomorrow. And the big decision could change everything with regards to birthright citizenship. I am going to say a little prayer tonight that the people living here that shouldn't be here are not allowed to vote here anymore. That could be amazing. There's a little comment here, the GOAT. I think he is the greatest Supreme Court justice that we've had in my lifetime.
You want to give us a sneak peek of some of the decisions?
Nope.
But you can't
just
tell us why
laughing
you're
at
up
her.
here today. Who you're meeting with? Who are you meeting with, sir? Were you up here for any particular reason? No info on who you may have been meeting with? Anyone in House GOP leadership?
He wants to say none of your damn business. I'll say it for him. None of your damn business.
Discussing? Any comment on today's decisions and the end of the Supreme Court term?
You have good questions.
And any comment on the end of the term?
You have good questions.
Do you want to answer any of them?
The same people that can't define what a woman is are freaking out whenever old Justice Thomas says, you have good questions. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of questions to be answered. A lot. Another huge one is when the president is going to get an opportunity to sign the SAVE Act. And he made a comment here because they're trying to put pressure on him to sign this, the housing bill, right? They really want to get this housing bill across the finish line. And the housing bill, it is important. But if you get rid of the people that are here, that's going to open up 30, 40 plus million houses. Listen to the president.
What are your plans for the housing bill, Mr. President? Are you?
I don't know. I think it's so unimportant by compared to the Save America Act. I think the Save America Act is exactly what it says. It's saving America from crooked elections. And the housing bill is a bill that can get approved. They worked on it long and hard. It's very bipartisan. That means the Democrats like it. I think it's maybe even it's probably maybe more that way they're getting things that I wouldn't necessarily agree to.
When it's bipartisan, it means the Democrats are getting what they want. And they don't want the SAVE Act. So I hope the president holds this housing bill ransom until we get the SAVE Act passed. You can see Senator Tommy Tuberville says this is exactly why we must do whatever it takes to pass the SAVE Act. Supreme Court rejected this Republican-led challenge to counting some mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. That's called stuff in the boxes, ladies and gentlemen. The swamp is about to be drained. The president is now back in power. He has presidential powers. And going forward, it's going to be rough because the swamp is being drained. Ask me about John Bolton. What's going on with him? And all these other lifetime criminal bureaucrats that are getting busted. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. This is where we win. This is where we celebrate. This is where we laugh in the face of the deep state and we drain the swamp. Take care. See you in the next one.